She could do it. That's right. Yeah. Coffee with the Community here in Liberty Public Schools. I'm Jeremy Tucker, Superintendent, and I want to talk you through several updates from the district as we look to wrapping up another school year. As this time of year, each year, we're busy wrapping up one school year, but then also preparing for summer school and commencing the return of students and teachers in August as we get ready for the 22-23 school year. With that said, thank you for joining us along the way as we've had a variety of topics shared during our Coffee with the Community series. And so as we think about this year in review, we want to walk you through several things. And on our district's webpage, you might look to access district information at a glance, which includes this placard, and it has some pertinent information for you as you think about our district as we continue to grow, as we continue to provide a variety of programs for our nearly 13,000 students in grades pre-K through grades 12. So to walk you through some highlights of that information, our district composition consists of about 85,000 square miles. We have 378 bus routes. We serve nearly 6,000 students through our transportation department daily. And this year, any typical year, we will drive close to 1.2 million miles as far as the annual mileage traveled within our transportation department. Where our students come from, about 54% of them reside in the city of Kansas City, 44% reside in the city of Liberty, another 1% in Kearney, just close to about 0.5% in the municipality of Glen Eyre. And then we have others that are scattered across the outskirts of Clay County, but then also encompassed within Liberty Public Schools' footprint. Some staffing information you might be interested in is that our team makes up about 1,900 staff members. About 1,000 of them are certified teachers or counselors, and then about another 900 or so make up classified or support staff. This includes bus drivers, cooks, and others in that classified range. You also have some student demographic information as well as financial information that's contained within our district at a glance. On the back side of this placard, you have a variety of programs that are in the category of real-world learning opportunities. Those opportunities we'll speak to a little bit later in our program as we think about how we leverage experiential learning opportunities for our students at the elementary level, the middle level, but then also at the secondary level or at the high school level. A couple years ago, we embarked upon developing a strategic plan and revisiting the goals and the areas of focus as we think about the future of Liberty Public Schools. One of the questions that drove that conversation as we were looking toward a new strategic plan was, what does it mean to thrive? And through a variety of surveys and conversations, focus groups, as well as a World Cafe event, we focused on the development of a couple of key pieces. The first was our graduate profile. In addition to our graduate profile, through those conversations, we developed a vivid vision. And I want to share a little bit about that with you today as we talk through the current strategic plan, but then also focus on the future of our school district. The first piece is our graduate profile. And through your participation, whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, a staff person, or a business member in our community, we sought to be able to identify those skills, dispositions, and the type of knowledge that we want our students to possess not only while they're here in Liberty Public Schools, but as they graduate so that they're equipped with those skills and dispositions for success, whether it's in college, the career of their choosing, or just in life in general. Among those categories that we identified within that graduate profile, we landed on the academic, the cultural, the personal, the professional, as well as the entrepreneurial categories. So our graduate profile includes a definition of each of these areas, but then also those skills and dispositions follow that, again, we want our students to be able to be equipped with prior to graduating from Liberty Public Schools. You might have seen a series that our communications department put together over the course of this year, spotlighting each of these categories, but then also bringing examples forward within our school setting of the experiences of our students and what they've experienced over the course of this year in an effort to try to effectuate our graduate profile. In addition to that profile, we developed a vivid vision, and this can also be accessed on our district's webpage. It's a little different than a traditional vision mission statement or values like we've had in the past, but instead it tries to capture a narrative of our strategic plan in terms of what it might look like to live and work and learn in Liberty Public Schools as our strategic plan develops. I would encourage you to take a look at that on our district's webpage, but it includes a couple of key areas. Those categories include learning, teaching, leadership, professional learning for the adults in the association or in our school setting, but then also the importance of partnering through community. From that vivid vision, then, we take it a step further and identify those attributes or characteristics or focus areas within our strategic plan. So under each of those categories, you can see the specific areas of focus that then make up our strategic plan. Under the category of learning, we know competency-based learning is an important piece and something that our state is moving in the direction of. In addition, learner agency, where a student actually owns and navigates their goals in terms of their learning outcomes. In addition, equitable access and opportunity for all of our students in pre-K through grades 12, nearly 13,000 students. The ability to leverage anytime, anywhere learning, which we've experienced over the course of the last 2 years in the pandemic as we've had to go in and out of virtual learning or hybrid learning to get us to where we are today. And then lastly, under that category of learning is real-world learning, which we'll speak about in just a few moments. Underneath that category of teaching, as it relates to our strategic plan, the importance of culturally responsive practices, multi-tiered systems of support, which is ensuring that we're personalizing the learning experience for every single one of our learners regardless of their giftedness, flexible scheduling to be able to allow for students to incorporate experiences like internships or college credit acquisition within their high school, but then also their pre-K, elementary, and middle level experiences. Project-based learning wraps up that category of teaching within our strategic plan. In the category of leadership, focus on equity audits and needs assessments, cross-cultural communication, ensuring work-life balance, which is critically important today for all of our staff, our educators, and our administrators, but then also as we model what that looks like for our students and families. Importance on recruitment and ensuring that we're continuing to ensure that folks are interested in pursuing a profession in education, whether it's to become a classroom teacher or eventually aspirations toward leading an entire school or a building. And then lastly, well-being for all of us, whether it's our students, whether it's our leaders, even our Board of Education, in terms of the times in which we live and ensuring that well-being is at the forefront of everything that we do, both personally, but then also professionally. In the category of professional learning, focus on micro-credentialing and how we might be able to create badging and micro-credentials for our students as well as our staff toward those skills and dispositions identified within our graduate profile. Focusing on professional learning communities, you might recall that over the course of the pandemic we instituted Early Release Wednesdays and have been leveraging that across every single one of our grade levels, but then also our content areas to be able to allow teachers to gather and to plan and to meet and discuss their goals, their students' needs in terms of moving things forward week in and week out as the year progresses. In addition to professional learning communities, on-demand professional learning. Rather than a one-size-fits-all approach to educating adults or adult learning, ensuring that our adults in our school district have the exact tools that they need for any given time in an effort to meet the needs of our diverse learners. And then the last category within professional learning is a focus on cultural competency. That final category of our strategic plan is that community partnership category, and really focusing on college and career readiness network and how we can leverage your expertise, your talents, but then also the expertise and talents of our community partners, our institutions of higher ed like William Jewell College, but then also our business partners to be able to open their doors and provide experiential learning opportunities for our students. That then leads us into a focus on ensuring that every single student's needs are met. And so we shift ever so slightly then to a focus on diversity, equity, inclusion in our system. And as we've shared over the course of the last several years, we're committed to ensuring that every single student is met where they are at, but then also that we encompass them by providing opportunities that they're interested in and passionate about for whatever sits beyond high school. So we have definitions of each of these key terms: diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as a set of Liberty Public Schools aspirations, whether it ranges from creating a welcoming environment, recruiting and retaining staff, enhancing learning experiences and outcomes for every single one of our learners, or examining and improving our practices, all the way to implementing programs that are culturally responsive. And so we continue to look to effectuate this work, not only through our strategic plan, but then also at the building and the departmental level in years to come. To shift to another category of our focus within our district, while we have the strategic plan on one hand, we also work through our facilities master planning process to continue to keep up with the growth that we've experienced over the years within Liberty Public Schools. And so this operates as a separate plan, so our strategic plan, but then our facility master plan. That facility master plan really guides us towards consideration of facilities improvements, enhancements, new school construction, or renovation. And so we want to begin by thanking our community, because back in 2018, you were integral into passing a bond issue, a no tax increase bond issue that was placed on the ballot that resulted in some of the projects that you see here. Most notably, a few larger of our projects was the completion of a performing arts center at Liberty High School, which you can see depicted here within these pictures. We have already opened its doors this year and had a variety of celebrations and performances and activities as we've welcomed our community in to our space. I know we had to hit the pause button during COVID and were limited on those opportunities, but we're incredibly grateful to be back and be in person and being able to leverage these spaces that our community approved for us not too long ago. In addition, we had some renovations. Our last projects that were completed were to Liberty High School on the front entrance. And so we have a new facade as you enter into Liberty Public Schools at Liberty High School. And so we are grateful that those projects were pretty close to being on time and completed as the final projects within our 2018 no tax increase bond issue. In addition to our physical spaces, we frequently work with a demographer as it relates to projecting where we think we may be in the coming years. From our elementary to our middle to our high school grades, those trajectories are important in helping us get out in front of continued growth or plan accordingly in terms of what we see on the horizon. So this particular graphic shows through the year 2020-2021, where we're at presently, or just beyond that slightly, the growth that we had experienced in that K2 category, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, and then high school 9 through 12. You can see that from 2004 all the way through to about 2012, 2013, we had a pretty steep curve as it relates to growth within our school district. And then we started to see some of those figures plateau as it relates to continued growth by cohort across the district over the last several years. In addition to this graphic, as we think forward, what is that trend going to look like? What's going to happen at every single one of those levels? So just recently we completed a demographic study with our demographer, as we do every few years, and this is what that trajectory looks like. It picks up from the year 2010, 2011, all the way there on the left. Once you hit to that shaded gray area, that's really around 2020, 21, 2021, 22, where we're at presently. And as you can see, that growth has really plateaued. A demographer is only as optimistic in looking out maybe 3 years. Anything beyond that 3-year outlook gets pretty fuzzy because a lot of things can change, in 4 to 5 years. As we think about a 10-year horizon, that's where things become even less predictable in and around what growth looks like within Liberty Public Schools. We will continue to monitor that over the coming years, continue to engage our demographer. We also work very closely with the City of Kansas City, the City of Liberty, economic development groups in our region, but then also developers who are bringing in and setting up residences or neighborhoods. As you drive around and you see much of that construction taking place, we are in those conversations trying to get a sense of what each of those developments' student yield can potentially look like and how that might impact Liberty Public Schools. To give you a sense of this year, our current enrollment is reflected in this graphic by building level and by grade level. If you will look to the very bottom right-hand corner, that grand total in grades pre-K through grade 12, this is as of April 12th of 2022, just a couple of weeks ago, that overall enrollment for Liberty Public Schools is 12,737 students. So some may ask, well, how has the COVID experience or the pandemic over the last couple of years impacted enrollment? And as you saw previously with that prior slide, it's really kind of mirrored what was projected. And that is a plateau, more or less, in terms of what that looks like across every grade level and across our system. And so we've not lost students in terms of them transferring out of the district, but we've also not gained many students in terms of continued growth within our school district. One of the questions that we have and that we've talked about frequently is, what does that category of birth to, say, 4-year-old looks like within our community? And that number is not with us just yet, and a little bit more elusive in terms of being able to land per age what that looks like from birth to, say, 4 years of age. In addition, some families may have elected to keep their children home rather than enrolling them during the pandemic, say in kindergarten. And so we'll be watching those younger grades pretty closely and adjust accordingly in the event that we need to add staff at the start of next school year. We constantly assess and evaluate our class sizes in an effort to keep those class sizes down. So if we need to hire staff late in the season or early in the fall as we start the new school year, we would certainly look to do that and adjust accordingly. Over the course of this year, we have walked through these various steps associated with our master planning process. Appreciate our partnership with Hollis and Miller Architects and working closely with our Board of Education and our community in a variety of engagement opportunities through surveys, but then also through a variety of daytime and evening meetings. We've walked through the step of creating a game plan and how to embark on this facility master planning process. We've done a lot of data collection, which has included your feedback, but in addition, on-site visits and tours and assessments of every single one of our campuses and departments, working alongside our building leaders, our administrators, our teachers and staff to assess what those specific needs are from a facility standpoint at every single one of our 19 schools, but then our other campuses that make up some of our support staff departments. In addition to collecting that data, it's working with our Board of Education and our community through your feedback and developing a set of planning criteria. As we think about facilities, here are the criteria that we need to consider as we move ahead. Step 4 then takes us to that category of exploring options, and we've been doing that through the data that was selected, your feedback that was provided, to be able to identify a list of improvements, renovations, additions, enhancements, both for our academic spaces, but then also for some of our extracurricular spaces. That then has led us to where we are presently, and that's considering adopting the best plan. So as you think about all of that work that's been done to get us to that final step, that's where we sit today, in working with our Board of Education through your engagement as a community as to whether or not to consider the addition or the inclusion of no tax increase ballot language on a future bond issue. And so we'll be working through that with our Board of Education in the coming weeks, so please stay informed, stay in tune, and more information will follow as it relates to if and when we're able to bring a no tax increase bond issue before our community for your consideration. The last category that I want to speak to as it relates to some of the work taking place this year is in and around real-world learning. You may have heard some of this mentioned, whether it's in reference to our graduate profile or perhaps you've read our Vivid Vision, but it really speaks specifically to the types of experiences that we want for our students. It's not solely focused on academics. While that's the critical piece, it's how do we take that academic knowledge, couple that with skills and dispositions that then can be applied in real-world scenarios, whether it's students at the elementary level, the middle level, or the high school level. That's really what we mean by real-world learning. knowing that it means something different at every single level, but by the time you get to high school, hopefully a student is engaged in immersive experiences that then they might be able to put on a resume, or that might sit on an extended transcript that then they can carry forward with them into a job interview, perhaps include on a college application, or perhaps relay a story of what they've done while they're in high school to an armed services recruiter. Those are the advantages of real-world learning opportunities. From a regional standpoint, we're working with several other school districts and other associations across Kansas City in an effort to expand real-world learning opportunities. So here's a simple definition that we've landed on as a region. Real-world learning prepares students for the future of work by giving them real job exposure and learning opportunities to build essential skills and inspire their unique path forward. Many of you are likely familiar with the Northland Center for Advanced Professional Studies, or CAPS program, and it's those types of experiences that we're wanting to expand for all of our students by the time they graduate from high school. Although it might look different at the elementary level, where students explore a variety of opportunities, maybe career paths, maybe career opportunities or interests that they've identified. Maybe by the time they get to the middle level, they're engaging in some degree of practical experience, whether it's a project that is tied to a business partner that they're working on in their science classes, or perhaps in their English language arts or social studies classes. By the time they get to high school, we hope that our students will have those immersive experiences where they're able to work and learn in authentic environments with professionals in an area that they are interested in pursuing, be it through CAPS, be it through Network 53 that offers internship opportunities for our students, whether it's through advanced placement courses or dual credit college experiences, early college through Metropolitan Community College, or perhaps it's an entrepreneurial pursuit. We might have students that have ideas that they want to put into practice, or items that they want to develop into a business. And so we're really excited about expanding those opportunities, with our goal being that every single student graduates not only with their diploma in hand, but also a +1 experience, or what our community and our region is referring to as a market value asset. So those market value assets, as I've shared, include work experiences, college credit. It might also include industry-recognized credentials that a student attains through one of our career centers, or it might be that entrepreneurial experience where a student has a great idea, and how do we come alongside them through mentors and through coaching and through their coursework to be able to support those ideas in the development of entrepreneurial skills. It's important to note that this work is not happening in isolation. There are several cohorts of school districts across our Kansas City area, both on the Missouri side as well as the Kansas side, that are working on expanding these real-world learning opportunities. They're comprised of 6 different counties across our area, and by the time you total that student population, you have a task of trying to ensure that over 100,000 high school students have market value assets or real-world learning experiences. I'm proud to say that Liberty Public Schools has been involved since the very beginning of this work, and we're continuing to move and ensure that more of our students have those real-world learning opportunities by the time they graduate. As a region, our goal is to have, by 2030, all high school students across our region graduate with market value assets and a diploma, preparing them for the future work and of learning. What this work does is it brings together our students with business partners in the community, and it leverages the support and the knowledge and the coaching and mentorship of our teachers and our faculty and our support staff. And so at the center is where you have those real-world learning experiences, and that can only be done through your partnership, by leveraging your expertise, by leveraging your knowledge, your journey in how you got to where you are today. Envision sitting down with a young person and talking them through how you became, a police officer, or how you became a minister, how you became a doctor. All the professions that exist within our community, there are likely students in our classrooms that are interested in thinking about how they get to where you are and what you're doing in your profession, in your role, in your position. So we want to lean on you and leverage your expertise in coming alongside our students and ensuring that they have those real-world learning opportunities and those experiences while they're in Liberty Public Schools. A few examples of how that plays out. In addition to our regular classrooms at all grade levels and the experiences that our teachers fold into their lessons on a regular basis, as we've shared, we have programs like Northland CAPS. We have project-based learning happening in all of our schools like what we see at Epic Elementary, or we have specialized opportunities through our career centers in Excelsior Springs or the Northland Career Center, or we have opportunities through our Kansas City Tech Academy or our College Acceleration Program through MCC. We also have at Liberty Academy, where we've flipped the model a little bit and have a reverse internship opportunity where students, even at our academy, are afforded access to those internship experiences by bringing business partners and mentors on site to be able to participate in that internship opportunity. During the course of the last 3 years, we've worked to put a program called Network 53 in place that leverages career navigators whose sole task is to come alongside students and connect them in and around their interests and passions into internship opportunities. So if you've not kind of followed along over the last several years in the work that we're doing in and around real-world learning, it's aligned to our strategic plan in support of our graduate profile, and really is our effort to be able to ensure that students engage in academic rigor and experiences that is tied to their interests and their passions and what they want to pursue beyond high school. So we look forward to sharing more. We look forward to connecting with you. And I'll end with this, in that you have a role to play. Whether you are a mom, a dad, a grandma or grandpa, a business owner, entrepreneur, whatever hat you wear, you have something that you can offer. Whether it's a simple conversation over a soda or a cup of coffee for a student that's interested in pursuing a path similar to your journey, or whether it's opening your doors to host an intern, perhaps it's even being part of a career fair or a job interview process, mentoring. There are all sorts of opportunities to engage, and that's one thing that we have missed over the course of the pandemic, is not being able to engage as much with you, our community, our parents, our families, and businesses, but something we certainly will commit to over the course of the 2022-2023 school year. In addition to that, I want to share that we have one more edition of our Educator magazine that will be coming out shortly, and so be on the lookout for this particular publication. We're going to spend some time recognizing our graduates from Liberty High School and Liberty North. With graduation coming up in just a couple of weeks, we wish them well, and we'll send them on to the real world as it relates to whatever lands beyond Liberty Public Schools. Thank you so much for your support, for your patience and your engagement with us over the course of this year. We hope that every single one of you has a phenomenal summer, and we look forward to connecting with you in August for the start of the 2022-2023 school year. Be well.